There we go. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome. And are we recording, Kim? Can you tell?
Yep.
Great. Welcome, everyone. We're here to talk to you tonight about the EDD in leadership at Virginia Commonwealth University. My name is Dr. Beth Pekoski. I'm one of the co-coordinators of the program, along with my colleague, Kim Bridges, who I'll hand it off to in just a moment. But we're really excited for you to be here. We have a quick 20 to 30 minute presentation. And then we have a student panel planned. Some of those folks are already here, and I know you're excited to ask them questions. So yeah, Kim, I'll hand it off to you to take it away.
Thank you, Beth. And thank you, everybody, for taking time out of your busy lives. We know you have many things you could be doing right now, and we are thrilled that you're here to learn more about the EDD. If you'd go to the next slide, Beth, here's what we're planning to talk about. Big picture. Why VCU, why Richmond, and then a little bit of clarification for those of you who might still be weighing the EDD versus PhD. We'll talk in particular about our EDD program, its sequence, some of the milestones, how we do this modality thing, why cohorts matter, and what the heck a capstone is. We'll talk about nuts and bolts like cost and admissions. And then, as Dr. Pekoski said, we'll have the students tell you the real deal and hopefully get all of your questions answered with them as well as us. So here's the data, and I'm going to go through the data quickly, but I'm going to tell you why it matters. If you are not familiar with VCU, although I see quite a few Rams in the house just from that initial sign-up list. Woohoo! Hello, Ramley. VCU is in Richmond, Virginia. The total enrollment right now is roughly 29,000 students from a whopping 103 countries represented in our student population. That's graduate as well as undergraduate. Overall, 18-to-1 student faculty ratio. We're a top 3 research university here in Virginia, and VCU is the largest employer in the city of Richmond. We've got 169 acres downtown. Now, some of you are thinking, I'm going to be online. I may come to campus maybe once, maybe twice in my whole tenure here. So why does any of that matter for me? If you'll flip the slide, Beth, we'll talk about Richmond a little, and I'll tell you why it all matters. Richmond, Virginia is the state capital, home to 10 of Fortune 1000 companies. But the big thing is it's a thriving arts community, a growing innovation ecosystem, a growing city, flat out. Big growing city in the Southeast. We're a wonderful 2 hours from the DC area. We can get to the beach in 2 hours. We can get to the mountains in even less than that. So those of us who live in Richmond, as well as learn here in Richmond, love the city for that. But let me tell you why that matters for you and your doctoral pursuits. Richmond, as we mentioned, is a growing city. It's the capital of our state. A lot of our coursework is designed to support that ecosystem, and meaning when we talk about policy, we can speak to local policy, we can speak to state policy. We don't have to be Virginia specific, but Virginia can often be a microcosm and a bellwether for what's going on in the rest of the country. So even when we are focused on Richmond and what's going on here in Virginia, we're giving you that lens that'll help you in whatever your local context might be. So that's why we think the city matters. Now let us tell you about the School of Ed. Our school is 175 different faculty members that are staffing not only your classes, but 9 different centers and institutes. We've been ranked as a school as the 16th best public graduate school of education and the 10th best online program of education. So for those of you considering the online modality, we hope you'll see that that's important to us, and we spend time thinking about how to deliver our curriculum both online and face-to-face in the way that's most relevant and applicable to you as a learner. Yeah, we got $35 million in external research funding and 17,000 alumni worldwide, but we are most interested in what's going on with the School of Ed alumni population and our Department of Ed leadership in particular. So we'll talk a little more about that as well. We've got all the accreditations that you would want. The one I want to call your attention to, because we're accredited by our state Department of Education and higher ed entities, but the one in the middle, if you're not familiar with it and you're shopping around for programs, we do encourage you to look at EDD programs that are members of CPED. That stands for the Carnegie, Project on the Education Doctorate. And not everybody that has an EDD is a CPED member. And what that means, VCU School of Ed, our department is actually a founding member of that entity. And what that means is we go through a rigorous design process to get our EDD program up to the standards of CPED, and we continue to interact with those roughly 100 other institutions that are CPED members around what are the best practices for the EDD. What does it mean to be a practitioner-focused doctoral degree? And so when you're looking at other programs to compare to this one, please do ask them about CPED membership. We're continually going to professional development. It's organizations and EDD programs that are interested in continual improvement, which I'm assuming because you're here, you are as well. Thank you, Beth. Next slide. Again, with the School of Ed, broadly here at VCU, 19 programs. We already talked about the number of faculty. We do have undergraduates here at the School of Ed now, which for Virginia is a relatively recent switch back. Those of you who are interested in doctoral programs only, like the EDD is one of our 3 big programs and concentrations. But we also have master's programs, 2 and 6 tracks and 16 different concentrations, as well as 8 certificate programs. So there's a lot of education going on at the School of Education. Let's narrow our focus and talk a little bit about what that means for, again, that distinguishing between the EDD and the PhD. As you probably know, because you've already indicated some potential interest in one of these 3 sectors, K-12 leadership, higher education leadership, or general leadership. Those are largely the buckets that our EDD folks come from, but we are increasingly seeing folks who are interested in crossing over in sectors, or that general leadership sector might mean you work for a nonprofit, you work for a public serving institution, or you're in the public sector. You'll hear from some of our fabulous students tonight that are in that growing category. If you're looking at the PhD, the traditional research-based dissertation, we have multiple concentrations, including a concentration in education, leadership, policy, and justice. So some of you may be looking at both, and we'll talk a little bit more about what the difference between the 2 doctoral programs are. And here's that difference. As you're weighing which degree might be right for you as your terminal degree, know that our EDD is a cohort model. 3 years together with peers from across these sectors that you've already seen. We offer face-to-face learning opportunities as well as hybrid online opportunities. And so let me hop over and then hop over to the PhD. That is a face-to-face only program. It is individualized. It can take folks anywhere from a range of 4 to 7 years because you're progressing through that with some peers, but also at your own pace in terms of doing an individualized dissertation. So note the difference between the traditional PhD dissertation on the right of your screen, and then let me hop back to what we call the capstone, which is actually a dissertation in practice. Also a dissertation, also a written product, but ours here at VCU is team-based. It's applied research with a partner organization, real world, real time problems of practice that our partner organizations from a wide variety of sectors bring to us. And we assign or match student teams to those problems of practice. So you're working with a team on this problem of practice, writing together this dissertation in practice, otherwise known as a capstone. And the goal there is real world application, real world impact. You're actually learning team building skills and other kinds of leadership that we'll talk a little bit about tonight. And so you're employing those skills in this capstone year. And then you're looking for real world impact by using applied research, organizational improvement practices, the tenets of improvement science to actually help this organization to improve around the issues that it brought to you. So at the end of an EDD program, you are what is known as a scholar practitioner. And at the end of a PhD program, you're often going into a higher education faculty role or research role. So think about those differences if you're still on the fence, and you'll hear more from our EDD students about how that scholar practitioner world looks and feels to them. This is my favorite slide because these are some actual graduates and a little bit of data about our actual students, some of whom you'll meet tonight. We call our, in this cohort-based model, if you're in the program for 3 years together, we already bring you in thinking about that graduation year. So Learning Community 2023, otherwise known as LC23, those folks are going to graduate in May. Woo! Some of them are here with us, right? And they are now in 9 different capstone teams working with 9 different organizations on those dissertations and practice. Then we've got right behind them the Learning Community 2024, LC24. They're in 4 different sections. Remember the difference between modalities. We have a higher ed online section, general leadership online, a hybrid face-to-face. Those sections change each year based on who comes in. So we comprise those sections based on what you indicate as your interest in modality and sector. And then last but never least, our EDD babies that started with us in the summer, Learning Community 2025, again, 4 sections in that group. Tremendous growth over the past 2 years, but remember that class ratio, VCU wide 18:1. Our EDD classes are right now gravitating about 15:1, give or take a couple of sections. And so that means more personalized and individualized attention for you with faculty members. You see our Wordle underneath our graduating students that sort of encapsulates some of one of those learning communities organizations of origin. So you'll see that for our higher ed cohort, we have folks who come, of course, from our wonderful institution of VCU, but that is not all. We have folks that are from other Virginia institutions as well as higher ed institutions across the nation. One of my capstone team members right now is that TCU that you see down there in the corner. Go Horn Toads. Wait. Yep. Beth, you're muted. Did you want to say something?
No, it's a frog. I think that it's like a little
horned frog. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. So we get folks from across the nation in higher ed institutions as well as across the Commonwealth of Virginia. To the upper right-hand corner of that, you see for our K-12 folks, a great cross-section of school divisions here in the Richmond metro region, as well as across the state and increasingly outside of the state as well. I saw a Bibb County here in the house. Y'all will be excited to know that we've had speakers come in from other Georgia institutions like good old Gwinnett County. So we are increasingly focusing on context outside of the state, but we've got a great cross section of those of y'all here tonight from K-12 school divisions, as well as within those existing 3 cohorts. It makes for rich learning because you get to see how other school divisions do the same thing in very different ways. And last but never least, up in the upper left corner, you see that general leadership group and where they hail from. Private sector entities like Capital One, but public facing organizations like the Department of Justice, the FBI, as well as nonprofits that are a little bit tinier to see there. Military supporting organizations or military oriented organizations is another big growth area for us because we're here in the capital region. So we love all of the students from each of our sectors, but you can kind of get a sense of the mix that makes for such great learning when, again, you're trying to apply these concepts to yourself, your organization, as you're going through the program and working full time. So we believe that that makes the program something that's worth really looking at because of those groupings. Should I keep going, Beth? My mouth's not dry, but you can jump in at any point.
Okay, I'll go ahead and jump in. Thanks, Kim. So let's talk just briefly about what sets VCU's EDD program apart. I would say if you talk to our students, and you'll have a chance to in a little bit, it would be the social justice focus, the equity orientation of all of the coursework. It would be our founding membership with CPED. We were actually a top 3 finalist for the National Program of the Year in 2020. And the other really unique thing is that there are CPED programs that have group dissertations in practice. And there are some CPED programs that have client-based dissertations in practice. And we are one of only 2 or 3 that do both of those things together. Okay, so we have both group dissertations and client-based dissertations in practice, which is what we call the capstone. And so that's a very unique kind of experience. It is a 3-year program. It's 48 credit hours. We only start in the summer. And I'll give you some dates in just a little bit that you can already mark down for your calendars. It is a part-time program. So we assume that you're working full-time and you take 2 courses each semester for the first 2 years. And in the 3rd year, you take 2 courses in the summer semester, and then you take 1 course in fall, 1 course in spring while you're doing your capstone. In your cohort, you will be doing a lot of teamwork and collaboration in just about every single class. And we front load a lot of the teaming skills in a great class that actually Dr. Bridges teaches and does a fantastic job at. As I said, it's designed for full-time professionals, and most of our students are coming in sometime in their mid-career. We want students to have at least 3 years of leadership experience, leadership thought of in a broad sense. And we find that students who come in with some of that experience are just able to really apply the concepts much more immediately to their work environments. As Dr. Bridges said, we have 3 different specializations: K-12 leadership, general leadership, and higher education leadership. When you submit your application, you'll be able to indicate your preference of which of those cohorts you'd like to be in. For the online cohorts, we're usually able to differentiate the 3 areas. For the face-to-face cohort, it's usually a mix across all of those sectors, which actually makes the face-to-face cohorts really fun and interesting in a completely different kind of way. And for those of you who might be interested in the general leadership, know that we're going to look at your background, and we may even reach out to you to have a conversation. If we don't have a full general leadership cohort, we'll put you either with K-12 or higher ed, and whichever one makes the most sense for your field and for where you're going with your career. So the course content is set and the curriculum is set for the entire program. However, specific courses, some of them are general and it's exactly the same across all cohorts, such as the Learning Networks course and the Organizational Analysis course, the Writing course. And some courses are much more tailored to specific sectors, like the Legal Systems course, and the Crisis and Leadership course, and the Budgeting and Finance course. So be aware that they are both in sync, and we're all going at the same pace, but you're also going to get tailored content and instructors who are from the sector that you're working in. In terms of major milestones, you're going to start with the orientation. Each course is 3 credit hours. You'll start with the orientation on May 20th. That is an online orientation. You then have your summer 1 residency for LC 26. It's going to be June 22 to 24. We'll start in the afternoon, and then we'll have 2 full days. You'll have your summer 2 residency, which is July 26 to 27 in 2024. So yes, mark your calendars now. You have your formative assessment in the fall of your 2nd year. We have some students here who are about to go through the formative assessment. And we have students who have already successfully completed it if you want to ask them questions. Then you have your capstone proposal in the fall of your 3rd year and your final capstone defense in the spring of your 3rd year. So you just do that: orientation, take the courses, summer residencies, formative assessment, capstone, and you're done. And that makes it sound really easy, but we know that it's actually really hard. In terms of coursework, you have 2 modality choices. One of them is online. So you might be in a K-12 online, you might be in a mixed cohort online, you might be in higher ed or general leadership online. You do have to attend the summer residencies in person in Richmond, even if you're in the online cohort. And you can expect to be in class on Wednesday nights between 5 and 8 p.m. for about 1 to 1.5 hours. You only meet with one of your classes a week, so it's not actually meeting from 5 to 8. And then you also have asynchronous work on top of that. And you will have some classes that are more asynchronous and some that are less asynchronous. And it just depends on the instructor and the course content. If you're in the face-to-face cohort, then you're looking at, number one, pretty much definitely being in a mixed cohort, we usually don't have enough people face-to-face to make separate cohorts, which again, I actually really love teaching those classes. They're very fun. You have the summer residencies if you're face-to-face, and then you have a Thursday evening class, which may be fully face-to-face or maybe more hybrid, where you come face-to-face every few weeks, and then you're online in the in-between weeks. Class starts between 4 and 6 p.m. and lasts about 2 hours. And then each semester, you also have 5 full Saturdays a semester where you come on campus and engage with each other. And yep, your capstone experience. So Kim talked a little bit about this. I'm not going to add a whole lot more, but it is analyzing a problem of practice with a real world partner, working in real time to understand the problem more deeply, diagnose the problem in terms of root cause analysis, formulate a plan, and you're doing a lot of interacting with the client and with your chair who are helping you negotiate both the team responsibilities as well as the client negotiation. So that kind of encapsulates the overview of the program. And now I'm going to talk for a minute about our graduates, and to give you some food to chew on, I'll then talk about the application and we'll move to the student panel. So for LC 2026, for those of you applying right now, your applications are due February 1, and I would urge you to consider what kind of leader do you want to be. If you're interested in being a leader who understands leadership deeply, who understands the complexity of what it means to be a leader, who collaborates with others, who understands the importance of context, whatever your current context is, who is interested in not quote unquote, just being a practitioner, being a scholar practitioner, which is the ability to bridge research and practice, to learn and understand enough research skills so that when you're in your own organization, you can say, we need to understand this. I know how we can do that. I can collaborate with people to get that work done, to understand what's going on, and then to roll out a change process. So again, being a team leader and being an equity leader, all of those things, if those are words that sort of resonate with your understanding of what leadership is and how you like to do leadership, this may be the right program for you. If they don't resonate, it might not be the right program for you, because you have to collaborate in this program. An individualized capstone project is not an option. And in terms of our graduates, they're out there making a difference. We have K-12 leaders, graduates who are superintendents, directors, principals, policymakers all over the place. We have higher ed leaders in senior administrative roles, strategic planning, fundraising, as well as traditional student affairs areas. And in our general leadership area, we have folks in nonprofits, consulting, and we're gathering more and more and having more people come through who are affiliated with the government and corporate and things like that. So in terms of costs and admissions, the in-state rate is $596 per credit hour. So each course is 3 credit hours and you take 2 courses for the first 2 years. And the out-of-state tuition is $12.72 per credit hour. Please know that that is based on the fall 2022 tuition rates. And that goes up every year, which we don't control. And that does not include any of the fees, which are, I think, semesterly. Unfortunately, we do not offer any financial aid. However, we strongly encourage you to work with your employer to see if they can pay for some of it. This is very valuable professional development that you're bringing back to your work every single week when you're having class. A lot of our students, and they'll probably talk about it, they're literally applying what they just learned yesterday in their work environment today. So your employer should be invested in your success, we hope. Here's the admissions process. Applications just opened on September 15th. Applications are due, including the application fee, on February 1st, but then you have another 2 weeks until February 15th to gather up all of the rest of your materials. If you want to go through your writing statements one more time, it gives you time to talk to your recommenders, but all of the materials need to be submitted by February 15th. Early April is when we will email you admissions decisions, and we give you about 2 weeks to make that decision. In terms of the admissions requirements, you have an application. The GRE is not required. There is no standardized testing requirement. You need to include a resume or a CV. You can use whichever one shows you off best, but it should be well organized. It should be copy edited. It should look really nice. You will have 2 writing samples that you include in one document. One is the statement of intent, and one is a prompted essay. And if you look at our checklist online, it tells you very specifically what to address in those 2 writing samples. You then need 3 letters of recommendation. My advice there is, instead of asking your colleagues if they can write you a recommendation, ask them if they can write you a strong letter of recommendation. You want people who are going to speak to who you are as a leader, as a collaborator, as an equity leader, and people who are really going to be able to talk to your aptitude for leadership and for completing the coursework. You want people who are going to tell us that we're stupid not to admit you, basically. So find your champions and get them to write those letters. And then finally, you also submit your transcripts. You can submit unofficial transcripts for the initial admissions process. If you're admitted, you will then have to follow up and submit the official ones, but the official ones do cost money. So if you want to save a few dollars, at least initially, go ahead and do that. Here is some contact information for you. We will be PDFing this PowerPoint and sending it out to you soon. And now I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to see, Kim, do we have questions that we can address real quick before we hand it off to our student panel?
I've been trying to field them as they're coming in on the chat, but if the answers on the chat didn't make sense, y'all let us know.
Okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and pin our students. And I'm going to start y'all off with a nice, easy question, which is, why did you decide on this program? How did you know that it was the right program for you? Why don't we start with Crystal, and then we'll go to Rena.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Crystal Bell. I'm a part of the learning community class of 24. I'm in the face-to-face mixed group. So we have folks basically PK 20. I chose the program because 2 main things. I am super big on collaboration and teamwork. And so that really spoke to me. I personally feel like I do my best work in teams. So that was a big draw for me. The other piece is sort of the equity lens. That component is woven throughout every class, as Dr. Beebe talked about. It literally is kind of written into almost every class. There's going to be some type of equity component, even our writing classes and things like that. So those were 2 big pieces for me. I think the Capstone is super unique as well. Again, I mean, I don't know. I think it depends on what you need as an individual. Doing an individual dissertation was not something that really excited me. So I'm very much looking forward to doing the Capstone. So yeah, those are kind of the main pieces, and kind of just sort of that practitioner focus, because that's kind of where my work is right now.
Rena, and then we'll go to Kim.
Hi, everyone. I'm Rena Desai. I'm in the same cohort as Crystal, face-to-face. I work for the FBI Richmond field office. The reason why I applied to the VCU leadership program is because I'm a mid-level personnel employee, and I was ready for that next level of challenge. I applied specifically to VCU because there's a focus on diversity and inclusion. And the FBI is really focused on getting a very diverse workforce to represent the American population. I've been in this program for a little over 18 months. We're halfway done, and I've grown so much in this program to the point where my executive management team very recently gave me a national award, or through the FBI, one of these top recognitions, which I was flabbergasted. I was very happy. And that just goes to show how much I've improved just over the past 18 months. All of the professors are great. And Crystal's point, it's focused on the lens of equity and diversity and inclusion. And prior to the program, I did not know too much about some of these systematic barriers that are in our culture and our society. And I think as a leader, especially now in the year 2022, these things are something the leader should know about, in my opinion. And I think this program is a win for any anyone, regardless of whether in the education field or the nonprofit or government industry.
Hi everyone, I'm Kimberly Lynn Tagwin. Short killing it, KLN, killing it, okay? I'm in the higher ed cohort of 2023, 212 days left. Yes, we're counting down, right, Nicole? So I chose this, I was actually between, I'm a registered dental hygienist, and I was actually between the PhD at ODU for health services research and between this EDD and leadership. I think the thing that really drew me here is the leadership component. I would like to be a leader in my field. I'm an adjunct faculty currently at VCU, but I would like to be full-time and then use that to hopefully help me with a leadership role, maybe a senior clinic coordinator, program director one day. The sky's the limit, really, maybe dean. The other thing, on the opposite note of Crystal, I've had at least 8 publications already, some of them with groups, but some of them with myself. And the capstone component with working as a group wasn't really my interest, to be honest. But then I realized, being a leader is working with a team. So why not work with a team now to build up my leadership experience? So it's been very helpful. My work with my capstone team, trying to get us all pumped up and working hard together and adapting to one another's skills and strengths / weaknesses has helped me grow as an adjunct faculty. So for my students, for my colleagues, and I don't know, I'm glad I made this decision, in case you guys are all wondering.
Mel and then Nicole.
Hi, I'm Mel Bouguet. I am cohort K-12 online 2024. So I am halfway through with Crystal and Raina, and I started this program because I wanted to get my doctorate, but also in leadership as I was moving along my career. I actually heard about this program through my friend and colleague, Nicole Herndon, who has 212 days left from what we just heard. And we actually just met together to have coffee and talk through what this adventure holds. So I'm really looking forward to what this has brought to me so far, and what I know it's going to continue to bring to me, because I got this acceptance into this program, and then 2 days later I got hired as an assistant principal. So 2 of my huge goals in 1 week, and I've been able to manage it, I think because of the application, and it's really strengthened me as a leader. The professors, like everybody has said, are fantastic and really understanding that we're real people with real lives and children and jobs, and really hone the work in to make us stronger in whatever we're doing in our professional life. So I look forward to having 212 days left, but right now I'm getting ready for my formative assessment in 6 days.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nicole Herndon. I'm in the 23 cohort, and the countdown is on. And Dr. Bridges is my capstone chair, and Dr. Bukowski was my research co-teacher, one of my professors for a full year, and it's amazing. So everyone on this screen that's here tonight, it's because we invested in ourselves, and we're excited that you're here to invest in yourselves too. It's an intense program. You learn a lot. And what I liked about this program over others, because there are quite a few capstones that do exist, kind of nationally speaking, are 2 things. 1, the idea of working with a group, and 2, to apply it to a client or a partner who can really use the help. And so my context is I'm in K-12, I'm an assistant principal at a high school. I know how hard the work is all the time, and the idea that there's a group that would help me do something in a very focused way was very appealing. So I do like the idea of giving back in an immediate context as I'm learning to grow as a scholar and practitioner, researcher, all the things. And what I appreciate about this program is you take your work context and apply it within the classroom in terms of what you're learning. And so while your professors have very specific things that they'll structure for you, that in terms of skill that they want you to really practice and refine, you get to take it and apply it to your immediate context. And so there isn't a disconnect. And I did find that in other programs that I have been in my graduate school prior to being at VCU.
Okay, my next question for the panel and for everyone out there, if you have a question, please pop it into the chat and we'll work it in. And this doesn't have to go to everyone, but I'll open it up for you. What's something you wished you had known before you got into the program? And attached to that is, how do you balance all the things? Y'all are all doing all the things. How do you do that? Nicole, no, Mel, go ahead.
So balancing, I think, comes naturally to educators, and it's you know, being an educator, you have to learn how to manage your day and manage your life, because there's always going to be something that comes up. And so I think that making sure that if this is something of interest to you, then you're going to take the time to learn more about it. The research really does help apply to your life if you want to make it that way. But the balancing of things is you make it happen because it is a goal. And even when you're exhausted and tired, you're still learning and growing. So there may be some things that you miss along the way. You know, I was very sad to miss my in-laws when they came because I had to write a paper, but you know, we sacrifice. So no, but really it is a good, it is good training of your brain, especially if you're interested.
Nicole, it looked like you were going to say something.
Oh, I was just laughing. I'm like, I don't know that I have an answer to it. I think I think I would frame it this way. I think you juggle. I don't know that balance is achieved. I think you just are constantly shifting plates. I would say from a life readiness place, knowing the support you have around you or need around you to commit to yourself during this time is really important. And so just knowing what you need and then what you have around you is probably advice that was underscored to me when I first started and attended this session 2 years ago. And I think it's really worth just remembering that as you go to invest in yourself for these next 3 years. The other piece I would say is structures and routines are really important, especially if that's not something you're used to doing. Just building those structures for yourself is really important so that it just keeps you on a pace and a track that maybe you're not used to. It had been quite a few years since I've been in a grad program, so it was a little rusty at first for me to get back into that routine. So just being patient with yourself and trial and error in terms of staying organized and not giving up on that, especially in that first semester as you kind of put the training wheels back on.
And I'll piggyback off of Nicole there. I think you just have to sort of figure out your rhythm. It does take some time. I would encourage anyone to not totally put their personal life on hold. I think that you have to just figure out where that balance comes. So I'll give you an example. I have quite a bit going on, quite a few things due, like this Sunday coming up. But it was my homecoming weekend and we didn't have class. So I told myself, I'm going to act like I'm not in a program this weekend, because that's an important time. But, you know, today I'm jumping, right back into it. So some of the things that I would say for me, what really drew me to this is, again, you have a whole group of people who are doing the same thing as you. And so we have group texts going on constantly. Just And even a lot of us, we meet up, like, I mean, we got like the libraries in Richmond on lock. Like, we either at Libby Mill, we at Tuckahoe, we're all over the place, like meeting up just to kind of keep ourselves accountable to doing work and, whatever it is that you need. So I would say you just have to sort of figure that kind of rhythm out for yourself. I have a few of my cohort members. They are like associate principals, similar to someone else on here. I think Mel, you say you just got a new. She literally had just gotten an associate principal role, like maybe after the first year of being in the program. And so we just kind of like we sort of bounce off of each other. You got your people who are super early, like, why are you turning your assignment in 2 weeks early? Then you got some people who are like 11:58 in 2 seconds. So it just depends. And you just kind of find your fit. But again, I would say try not to miss too many of the moments. Try to figure out how to, whether, okay, if you're an early person, you get up early, put in a couple hours, and just kind of find that rhythm.
And I just want to add to what Crystal was saying. I think also if you have a supportive manager or supervisor, that's an extra benefit. I'm lucky that my manager supports my education goals. Also, if you have a family, please be sure to, check in with them, because there will be some times in this program where it's a little bit more homework heavy than other times. So again, it's all about balance and self-care. And you have your cohort to rely on. We're very close, and we're there to kind of blow off steam when need be, and support each other. So because you'll be with your cohort for 3 years, so you'll get to know them pretty well. This program is doable for sure.
I would also like to add, hi, Dr. Reed. I'd also like to add, so it's about prioritizing. So I've learned, okay, I'm one of those people, I like to get things done early. It's not always going to happen. Kim, chill out. You're working with some 1159ers. You're going to be all right. They're going to pull through for you.
But
so I've learned that. And on the same note, like we are trying to prepare for our prospectus defense right now. Let's go, Dr. B. But so we had a meet last minute yesterday. So it's here, and we're here meeting tonight right after this. So it's a lot of flexibility with one another, but that's taught me on a personal note with my students, with my coworkers, my colleagues, I can be flexible too. I can make that time if I try to make that time. So same thing with self-care. I can make that time. Why am I not doing it? So I do also encourage that whole self-care aspect. If you need to take that day off, you take that day off, you deserve it. And then get back into work once you've got that energy and that recharge. So, and we're just so happy you guys are even here to be interested. You guys can do it.
Yeah, so can we push a little bit more? Someone's curious about having a family and not living in Richmond, which is also the same as being in the online cohort. So Mel, Kimberly, and Nicole are all in online cohorts. Could the three of you speak a little bit more to what that looks like? Or one of you?
I can talk about lack of sleep. I'm just kidding. But I don't have kids, so I don't know if I can help as much as Mel can. But I teach at VCU right now, and I live in Fredericksburg, Virginia. So my drive is 1 hour to 2 hours one way. It's amazing. I'm just kidding. And I have, I teach 7 credit hours right now for my courses. I'm in clinical teaching. I'm in private practicing patients. So kind of having kids, right? Like I have no sleep, but it's doable. Like I said, just know your worth first of all. So if you need that time off, take that time off. That assignment, I'm hoping you didn't start the day before it's due or the night it's due. So if you, like for me, some days I try to start things on Monday. If I don't get to it on Monday, hey, I still have Tuesday through Friday. I'll be all right. So I don't know if that gives you peace of mind if you're an 1159er. I'm sorry. Maybe someone else can speak to that. But it's doable. Again, taking breaks when needed. Don't tell your body no when you do need that break. That's all I can say.
And I can say that I know that I have a 30-minute drive to work every day and a 30-minute drive home. And my best friend is Audible, and I listen to a lot of the texts are on there. And a lot of the professors post, videos that you can put, into the aux on your car. So a lot of my work goes, reading and is going into listening. And that really helps me out. I really like, this semester, the teachers, give you a different way to do things. So it's not all just writing papers, you're doing projects, you can do them alone, but there's multiple different ways, multiple different modalities. My kids are, 17 and 14. They're not as young as Nicole's. I know she has elementary kids, so she can speak to that, but I am always like running to pick someone up, or making sure that dinner's cooked or something's happening. So, but again, I'm always listening to what's been put on. So that's just a trick of mine. Nicole, what do you think?
I would just add that your professors are an incredible group of coaches, mentors, guides. They're amazing. And so they're incredibly kind. They give grace. And many times in my cohort, we're completely online. We have pets pop in, we have little humans pop in, we have babies, we have big kids. So you just all get to know each other in a different way, and that's okay. I mean, I'm trying to get I have twins and a 6-year-old. None of them will do my homework yet, but I'm trying. But they haven't tried yet.
Good luck with that.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to circle back to Crystal, and I know Kim probably has something to say about this too, but we had a question earlier about what if you're an introvert in the program, face-to-face or online? What does that feel like? And what are your thoughts on leadership and introversion?
I don't know if, and Dr. Bridges, you probably can speak to this, but in our Effective Networks class, which was one of our classes in our first semester, we actually did take the Myers-Briggs. I don't know if we're still doing that, but it was very helpful because I've taken it before. I'm sure plenty of people on here have taken it before, but it kind of lets you know kind of where you are. And we talked with our group about where we kind of fall on that. How do we need to recharge and get our energy? I've had group members, they're like wired, like they get around people and they're just like over the moon and they want to talk constantly. And I'm like, I don't process that way. So for me, I think it has helped me to actually refine and actually communicate better about who I am, and what I need to be successful in a group. And so I have, said, hey, if we're going over something, I need time to like process it in my head before I spit out an answer. So if it's possible, if we could get like 2 minutes of think time, and if you could not read or say everything that's in your head out loud for the first 5 minutes, that would be incredibly helpful to me. So we've kind of, again, worked through that. I think to me, leadership, again, I don't know who leads without being around people. So I think it's helped me as an introvert to actually communicate better. And so, and actually learn more about who I am, and just kind of how I like to work.
I'm also an introvert. I think when I took the personality test, I had, I think the result was ISFJ or something very close to that. And what I've realized and what several of my classmates have told me over the past 18 months is they've noticed that I talk a lot more. I'm also at work, I speak up a lot more. I'm much more confident in my communication with everyone. And also as an introvert, I am now much more comfortable with conflict, because what I've learned in my course is that conflict is actually necessary when it comes to working in a work environment, because that's where you get to discuss, okay, why is this person thinking this way? And let me share my ideas with him or her or them. And so again, I'm still an introvert, but I have much more confidence than I did 18 months ago. And it's because of this program.
Yeah, the Thomas Kilman instrument, I think I'm remembering that correctly, also known as the TKI, you'll actually take that assessment as well, and it'll kind of share with you what your conflict style is, which is really good because Dr. Bridges, she read mine and she was like, you need to speak up. Like it was just because that was like, I was avoidant and I was very compromising, I think, were like my two highest areas. And she was like, so that sounds to me like you need to speak up more because otherwise you're going to end up frustrated all the time. So I mean, but literally I have kept that in the back of my head because we all kind of have like default, right? We kind of have default settings, And so that was, whatever it is, your background, your upbringing, your experiences, this is how you kind of present and how you show up. And so a lot of times you end up going with the flow. And I think that it is very important that we all sort of contribute to this sort of shared pool of meaning. And so you can't do that if you're not sharing, and your ideas are just as valuable as the next person. So, we get everything out. We get all the ideas out. We get all the pushbacks out. And then now we have this shared pool of meaning, right? We got all the information from everybody's head, and now we can make the most informed decision. But you can't do that if you don't share. So that's a big piece that I've learned, and I've continued to work on that because, we sometimes sort of backtrack into our it's like inertia or something like that, but it's very helpful. So that's something that I've definitely taken with me, and kind of like Raina, just speaking up. It's kind of like a muscle you work, you keep doing it and you get better at it and you get better at it.
Okay, we only have a few minutes left, so I just want to invite our panelists, if there's any last thing that you would like to add, I'll give you an opportunity to do that. And if everyone in the audience could give them a round of applause, at least visually, because they took extra time out of their night to come and see us, and we really appreciate that. Yeah, what else do y'all have to add?
So thank you all very much for your comments today. I'm wondering, are people using like student loans to pay for this? And if someone can talk to me about the Lewis, what I wrote down, the VCU Homes Student Program.
I'm not familiar with the VCU Home Student Are you a VCU employee?
No, it's for I think it's
Home scholars. Is that what you're asking?
Home scholars.
That's for PhD students.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the difference there. Yeah.
Yeah, most of our students either get their employer to pay for it in part or in whole, or use financial aid.
Okay. Thank you.
Student panelists, any last words from any of you?
I think all of us on the panel would be glad to answer other questions if you have them, if you reach out to Dr. Bridges and Dr. Bukowski. We have all lived where you are right now, wondering about taking that next step. And we're excited for each of you, and we hope that we see you as you come on board in May. I'm sure many of us or some of our classmates will be there to greet you on the screen or in person again soon.
Yeah, I think Arena said this earlier. If anyone continues to need to, or are you still trying to weigh, please reach out. Dr. Linhard, Dr. Bukowski, Dr. Bridges. We are here to kind of help you make the right decision. We hope you'll pick this. But again, I think it's ultimately about what's going to serve you best. But if you're looking for the challenge, if you're looking for kind of that push as far as being in a team environment, this is a great place.
Okay, I'm going to start unpinning our guests so they're no longer spotlighted. We will stick around for a few more minutes, but that basically concludes the info session for tonight. Thank you so much to everyone for joining us. You will get a PDF of the PowerPoint. And if you have any questions or would like some more conversation, please do not hesitate to reach out. I think it was Crystal who just said it. We want you to make the best decision for yourself. And so I'm never a person who's going to say, do this or do that. I'm going to say, here are questions to ask yourself so you can make that decision for yourself. So please reach out. You have from now until February 1 to make a decision and get an application in. And we're here to support you along the way. Have a great night.